he gave the appropriate feedback. So he's learning already. But that was a woman. Excuse me, what's your name? Let's see how you receive it from him.
I'm off that.
When you say I'm beautiful,
Let's see how you receive it from him.
tell me I'm beautiful and see how I respond.
Tell you you're beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you you're beautiful.
He can't even tell you, so okay. That's the male on male interaction. But
Yes.
Rosa is like you said that.
Beautiful.
Wow. You know what? Let's move to our.
That was a great conversation. We need a 2-hour show.
Well, there's nothing coming on after you, so whatever you want, let me know. But I do appreciate you allowing some of that dialogue to take place, because people do comment and they ask questions and stuff like that. So sometimes, if you let me jump in, then I will aid some of the folks who are responding to what you're saying and doing. And I do appreciate this show every week, because people walk away having learned something that they weren't thinking about beforehand. So thank you, ladies.
Well, thank you.
And you're welcome to come in at any given time.
And I'm a better breather than I was last week.
Thank you, God.
You start toning that muscle. Oh, but before you lose that mic, if they want to hear more of that topic, they can chime into the Roll and Grime show at
7 to 8 o'clock p.m. The pre-show from 6 to 7.
Isn't that voice
And
amazing?
you all invited anytime you want to come on Monday night with me and Coach Tanya, Ramalda, the Redskins cupcake lady, and of course, comedian Frank James.
All
Only
right.
on the Roll and Grime show.
All right. Look, now did y'all hear that change up?
I love that voice. Isn't that amazing?
Did y'all hear that?
Some people just
All
are
right.
born with a voice that should be aired. His is that.
Wow. So, Rosa, let's talk about, we're going to pull it back into Mother Earth, and we are, how blessed are we to be in such a place here when we talk about our raw food eating, and we've been talking about starting your own garden. Well, before we can just jump into starting the garden, we need to talk about taking care of the soil. So we've introduced ourselves to the soil via earthing and grounding, and we now know how giving and how comfortable the soil can be or can feel, and the added value that touching and staying in touch and grounding and earthing with the earth can be, because it does have a lot of health benefits. But now we're going to take it from the body and tell you how you need to start treating the soil in preparation for your gardens. So we're not going to jump into, we're going to stand off from our salad tables, and we're going to talk about treating our yards. Because I used to wonder, what was a landfill? And what do you do with them after those mountains start to get so high? Because they can only hold but so much. And with our environment, I used to always wonder, okay, so after that one gets full, what do? Just build and open another one?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. And then to realize how close I lived to one. And then I really started thinking, ew. you know,
they wonder why all the rats and rodents are out and about, but we throw away more in the United States than anywhere else in the world.
Yes, we do.
How many times I love going to roam around D.C., especially Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill people throw away everything. I got the baddest oak bookcase.
From somebody's
garbage.
And what's that saying about one man's something is another man's treasure? One man's trash is another man's treasure, yeah.
But the landfills are very interesting.
Yeah, they're good for the environment, so I'm understanding. But what I didn't know was that you can compost right in your backyard.
I don't know if landfills are actually good for the environment, because most of they write any old thing. But a lot of that stuff that they throw away are things that take eons to break down.
And that's why they've been getting on the water bottles. They've asked them to start changing the plastic so that it can break down more. And when I go to mine and I see how they sort when you take your stuff, like your leaves and shrubs in 2 different barrels, your plastic in another barrel, your paper things in another barrel. So then I see that they disintegrate some of that, and then when I go with the bigger stuff, have to go on the scale and go over and then go down to the bigger area.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. But that's not composting. That's just at the refuse at the center itself. So they do distribute it, and then they take it other places and either crush it to be recycled or burn it to let it just, because after animals die and after we burn things, the ashes, it all goes back to the soil.
So now, I've never been to one. I don't have a clue. I can honestly say I've never been to a refuse center, even though they have one up right on Hawaii Avenue, or they used to. A long time ago, I saw that, but I've never gone to one.
Yeah.
I think that might be an interesting visit. I've been to the reservoirs. Never been to Blue Plains. I just can't bear the smell.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in going down there and seeing how they do the refuge, that kind of stuff. But you went to composting right in your home.
Yes, composting. When I used to Thanksgiving reminded me of it truly, because I used to use my grandchildren's labor to help me with the leaves during the Thanksgiving break. So if I was frying the turkey while we were out there waiting for the turkey to get done, they would always want to run and play in the leaves. So I said, okay, let's put this time to good use, right? So while we're out here, let's rake. So we would rake, and their attention span. So after we would rake a pile, then they would have a play pile to play in. So I said, all right, guys, one by one. After we rake it, then we pile it. But then we'll go get the mulcher. So we'll mulch the leaves. And one particular year, we bagged up about my yard, about 10, 14 bags, right? But we still had piles left. So what we discovered is after so many days, the pile started getting moist at the bottom. So it starts regenerating. It starts going back into the soil as it gets moist. Well, what I didn't know, that it's nitrogen and what else? Oxygen and carbon dioxide in that. So I said, okay, well, that will not only feed the soil, but when you have grass, you can take those leaves and put them, so instead of buying mulch, you can do your own mulching and put that back over your grass, so it'll protect it from the sun in the summer, but it will also help protect it when it freezes as well in the winter. But what I did not know is, as you turn it so often and it gets moist and it starts breaking down, that you actually got those two the oxygen plus the moisture and the heat with the carbon dioxide, but you can use that with your garbage too. I just knew leaves and how the leaves would break down.
Well, when I was when I taught science, we always had a composting bin. And because, actually it was double done. It was for 2 reasons. One, we used worms to break it down.
Yeah.
And for so many, and it dawned on me that actually soil is no more than unwanted products. Worms actually chew stuff up, and it's actually their defecation that's coming out as they chew it up. So you could, put holes in a, actually you can buy a compost tray. But you can also, and so you put a screen over it, on one of those carry bins. You put a screen over it, like this kind of screen that you put on windows. Not the ones that are covered with plastic, but pure metal screen. You put it over there. Get the top and put holes in it. Put paper, newspaper, garbage, We only use newspaper and garbage and maybe just a little soil, and put about maybe 20, 30, 40 earthworms in there, and
Okay.
watch them work on breaking down that compost. Now, if I lived at home, putting garbage in it is just as good. That you
Yes.
just have to make sure that when you do it, you mix it up so that the smell won't overpower you, or you sit it on your porch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can use that for your plants. If you live in an apartment, you don't have soil or yard or that kind of thing. But you can use compost for your plants. You can put coffee
Yes.
grinds in it.
Yes.
You can
Mm-hmm.
put any food waste that you have. Of course, you wouldn't put plastic bottles in it or anything that has like milk cartons, that kind of stuff. That would you would ready. But anything that can break down to its natural form can go in it.
So what you don't want to compost is, okay, you definitely wouldn't put chemically treated items in there. You wouldn't put dairy products in there.
No
You wouldn't
eggshells.
put, if the plants or the leaves have already started getting, what's the white stuff, going bad. When they start going bad, then you don't add those. You definitely don't put fatty food waste, so your grease and stuff. Don't put fish or fish bones. No human or dog waste, so we don't want any manure in there. No meat, no scraps. And so anything that would deteriorate and start, what's the word I'm looking for when the white stuff starts coming on it? I can't think of it now, but
What's the reference?
White stuff. Was that a
yeah,
mold?
when it's mold, the mold and bacteria. So you don't want to put those type of items in there.
No
But
cheese.
I was surprised because it mentioned this list from the town of Bowie. They have a program on how to start composting, and they also have bins. But their list has peanut butter on there too, and plants that have started seeding. And you already mentioned plastic, so I was surprised at that. I was like, peanut butter?
They said you can't put it in.
They said they wouldn't. Don't do that's. And those are items you don't add if you want to prevent the smell. When you were talking about the odor, so you can do this in your house, or you can do it, and you don't have to buy one of their bins like you just shared. But if you do it outside, you also want to keep the animals away. So it's like, as long as you go by that list, you can keep the animals away too.
I'm gonna tell you
it
what I
won't
took.
Get that odor.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, I have a small space. Well, it's really big for real, but
Tell the
so
truth.
I have a
Yes.
balcony, and I used, those big glass pickle jars.
Mm-hmm.
I used one of those to
Okay.
compost, and it really worked. I didn't put any worms in it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, but I never could find a place. There used to be a place on H Street, a hardware store, that would sell night crawlers.
Okay.
And there used to be one up on Georgia Avenue. I would get them for my classroom because we would actually, a worm can be cut in half and it'll grow.
Grow, yeah.
It's like you can split it
That's an
anywhere.
amazing experiment.
Right,
to
that was one of
children.
our science experiments.
Yes.
So I would always get these worms and they'd stay in the refrigerator. And then you should have seen the teachers; they would be so upset. But anyway,
I bet. Open the refrigerator.
I used to tell them, I said, "Well, just give me a refrigerator in my room." They now have those.
Okay.
But it's amazing to see how nature is connected and how nature swiftly moves through a process. And part of that, they also have those people who have homes that they use in large yards. They will get large compost bins outside. And every so often with the compost, you got to mix it. You can't leave it there for like a month and think that it's you gotta let the oxygen come in it. So when I was starting mine, I used to just shake mine. It was just a little jar. I only had a few plants, so but I ended up using that when I repotted my plants.
Okay. Oh wow! So that was you had nutrients in it. So your plants, instead of fertilizer,
Right.
you had your own.
But I've also, and we're talking about something. This is not. What I also put on my plants?
What?
Plant-based minerals from Young Jack.
Oh yes, yes.
I actually have a bottle that I put a capful in my plants all around, and I am amazed, and that's a mineral that we sell.